watching some of these upsets actually transpire, like the Heat getting that first series win. Um, that whole age-old adage of like, oh, in a 7-game series, the best team always wins. I think that's being put to rest because I think you'll agree with me. On paper, the Bucks are better, no?
Yeah, no, they're better. They just caught them in a combined situation from with injuries and then responding to injuries, and then caught them just in the middle of like this fearful shock. That last game, it's crazy. Giannis was just, even though he had 30 points, he couldn't do anything in the right moment.
Yeah, it was wild to say the least. But ladies and gentlemen, the Bitcoin ballers all are back for episode 10. We have made it to double digits. This is absolutely bonkers right now. But here we are. It is. Oh, that's not what I want to be hearing right now. It is Friday, April 28th. Game 7 is tonight for both the Lakers the Lakers Grizzlies later tonight, and then shortly we'll be seeing the tip off of the Kings and the Warriors. Every other season is wrapped up. Today we're going to talk about what we got wrong because we got some things wrong.
The first thing you got wrong is it's game 6 tonight, bro.
Oh yeah,
Don't rush that
game
around.
6. Man, oh, man.
I know it'd be perfect. Yeah.
I'm too excited. It would kind of been perfect if we had 2 game 7s tonight, but I digress. We're going to break down other things we got wrong, not just me saying game 7 was tonight. Game 6, 2 of those tonight. We're going to talk about round 1 a little bit. We're going to give maybe some optimistic, some things we're going to pay attention to for round 2, and then we'll spend the back half breaking down these 2 game 6s, one which will tip off momentarily, the other one, I'm going to just say it now, Lakers, get it done. Don't go back to Memphis. Get it done. But I digress. As I alluded to at the top of this episode, the Miami Heat as the 8th, technically as the 7th seed, but they lost in the play-in tournament, so they became the 8th seed. They pulled off the upset, man. And say what you want about health. Sure. Giannis was like not there for 3 of those games. Okay? Well, the Bucks' only win just so happens to come in that stretch where Giannis wasn't there. Just outright. Giannis didn't play. On top of that, this isn't the bubble. And there was a lot of that conversation in 2020. And I think Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat have done something where you got to put a little more respect on the Southeast Division champions, because there was that conversation back in 2020. Oh, Jimmy got so hot in the bubble. He was the player of the bubble, no doubt. And everyone was saying, especially, hey, he followed that up with a number 1 seed the following season and then just fall flat. And Giannis and the Bucks make their run and eventually win that championship. And everyone was saying, see, look, the bubble was flawed. Miami would never have beat Milwaukee in a 7-game series in a normal playoff environment. Well, let me tell you something, because I believed that for a second. Jimmy Butler heard you, and Jimmy Butler wasn't happy. And Jimmy Butler is clearly not a man where you want to get pissed off. Dude put the team on his back and got the job done, even with arguably the best player in today's NBA suited up. Sure, he was hurt. He had 38 points. So put it to rest. Giannis was there at full strength and couldn't get it done. Sure, back was against the wall, down 2-1. You dropped another one, down 3-1. That's tough. Not a lot of teams have ever made a comeback from down 3-1, even in the first round of the playoffs. LeBron James did it. But hey, I'll own this. Kobe up 3-1 as a 7 seed for the Lakers. And they lost that series against the Phoenix Suns in 2007. So look, it happens. By way too early, nobody asked for a projection. Giannis wins MVP next year. Full stop. This doesn't happen to you and you don't leave hungry. I know people were kind of like brushing off his press conference, his conversation. I don't know if you saw that, Ulric, where he kind of talked about someone
Heard
asked
about
him, "Is this season a failure?" And he was like,
it. No.
"No." I saw Portnoy's take on it, and like I don't love Portnoy when he talks about most things, but I will give him credit in that he brought up. He was like, "You asked this to LeBron during like peak LeBron years?" He's like, "No, we failed. We failed. We should have been in the finals at bare minimum." Um, but and this is the last statistic, and then Ulrich, I'm gonna shut up and turn it over to you.
It's fine.
So this was a very interesting statistic that I stumbled across. So of all of the times an 8 seed has upset a 1 seed, there's only one instance in NBA history where the 8 seed was actually closer to the 1 seed. Like that gap from 1 to 8 was smaller. The only other time it was smaller than this was actually in 1999 when the Miami Heat themselves were the 1 seed and lost to the 8 seed New York Knicks. Now that was a lockout shortened season. So even if you adjust, it's still the smallest gap. I kind of want to throw that out because it's a lockout season. So you're starting to see, and we alluded to it before the playoffs started, the gap of talent it's diminishing. The 1 through the 12 seed in the West they can fight and they can hold their own. Sure. The Timberwolves lost very quickly, whatever. The point we're trying to get to is the parity of the NBA is forever changed. Every team has a superstar. Most have 2 now. But I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk. I've been talking way too long.
I think it was a good riff, and a couple things. I hope I can remember them. First of all, yeah, the Timberwolves lost fast, but so did the Cavs. And the Cavs are supposed to be, the 4 seed over the 5 seed. They were essentially upset. So, and you're a quant, law of averages. When you see enough data, you're going to see different things happen. And what I think we will see in the next 5 years is the NBA kind of shifting towards what the NHL has been for at least a decade, at least since I've actually been somewhat paying attention, not watching, but kind of noticing. 8 seeds upset 1 seeds all the time over there. No one's protected because the room for error is so small, when it comes down to you scored a goal in hockey and now you have like this decisive advantage. In basketball, there's more of a flow, more shots on goal. But I will say this, that the Heat, their star player, he averaged 37 in these 5 games. He averaged 37 points, 37 and a half, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Giannis in his 3 games, he averaged 23, 11, and 8. That's not a bad showing. Even even the last game when they lost, the game 5, Giannis had 38 points and 20 rebounds.
Rerun his points real quick for just games 4 and 5, because I feel like game 1 he only played for a half, so that's why you're getting a 23. Like how many points did he have game 4?
He had a triple double, 26, 13, and 10.
So that means he averaged actually 38, 26, 12, 6, 32 points.
So for the time he was there,
he got the job. Like he showed up to play. Let me ask you this.
Yeah,
because that we talked about this last week. Like that supporting cast in Milwaukee is excellent.
Yeah.
You have the number 2 in the defensive player of the year running Brook Lopez. You have a lockdown point guard in Drew Holiday. You have a lights out shooter in Chris Middleton.
And they all did their job.
But let me ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because they get a lot of flack. They're not the sexy player. Nope. Chris Middleton is not the sexy number 2.
Mm-mm.
All right. Drew Holiday is almost like damaged goods. He's played for so many teams. Everyone is kind of like, he can't be that. He's not he can't be a trio. Shows up to Milwaukee and they go and win the championship with him right after he shows up.
Right.
But he's still he's not that sexy point guard in an era where point guards are tough,
lightning fast, hyper athletic.
Brook Lopez has traveled back and forth all over the NBA, has worn more jerseys than the freaking Rainbow Man Shaq himself, and is now playing the best basketball of his career. how do you improve this team, or do you not? Do you just let them figure it out this offseason? I want you to put your GM hat on.
You honestly don't. They're a fine team. How do you improve the team with the best record in the NBA? You and I are both analytical people. You just let them roll it again. And in over the next 5 games in a playoff series, they likely won't face that situation. And I'll tell you, Jimmy Butler is they will more likely have a successful series, and Jimmy Butler is going to average nearly 40 points over a 5-game span. And Jimmy Butler comes to play when it matters most. But that team was missing their number 2 player, or their number 2 scorer. And for some reason, it was just one of these remarkable first round performances that people remember probably more than the Dame Lillard, goodbye to the Clippers kind of thing. This is one of those remarkable performances that you just can't rationalize. What could we do different? You don't break up a team because the guy essentially played an all-around supernatural game. And so the Heat won a series, and we should leave it at that. And when you think about the parity of the NBA shrinking to the level of the NHL, casualties are going to happen. And it makes the Eastern Conference all the more interesting. And then so another conversation, 2 things. One, the Portnoy, real quick. I don't think that Giannis is going to treat this season as a success, even though he says it for the media. Everyone's going to have their own style of how they address the media. Kawhi Leonard's not going to talk. Kobe Bryant's going to say, whatever, sarcastic comments he has. LeBron is going to be, is going to lie because he always lies. Yeah, I know this. He's going to try to say the perfect politically correct thing all the time. And Giannis is probably just going to be kind of generally positive, but I know for a fact, you said that he's going to be the MVP next year. Maybe not, but he is definitely going to come out at an MVP pace, and those teammates are going to, as long as their health remains, we'll support him. And I think and then one more thing, I forgot, but oh yeah. The Sixers and the Celtics, I guess they are awaiting the second round. I don't think you can say that that's the proverbial or the, I guess.
You're jumping ahead. Don't jump ahead yet, because I want to finish with these real quick.
Gotcha. I'm good. Yeah.
So I agree with you that I'd like to see no changes. However, I think just given the NBA and given how, just today's society is too short of an attention span, I think there'll be too much backlash from the Milwaukee fan base if no moves get made this summer. Do I think they go and get some crazy, insane, like new number 2? Absolutely not. You know what I think weirdly, and you're gonna laugh, but you know who kind of could work here, who would be really nice off the bench playing against the second unit?
Russell Westbrook. Okay. I
think he fits nicely.
No, it's not a laugh. And I don't know. And we're going to spend all summer breaking down all these teams with all their contracts and where the gaps are, where's the free money, where's the locked up money. It'll be fun. But Westbrook, if he will, I've been in this argument with one of our future guests for the show. There are certain people that elicit certain amounts of money depending on the type of team they're going to play for. Are you playing for a potential championship team? You're going to have to take a discount. And we were arguing about Draymond Green, upcoming free agent. If Draymond wants to go to a championship team, and the same goes with Westbrook. They're going to have to take a discount because they're no longer the number 1 option. They are the number 2 option, or maybe number 1 option off the bench. That's going to elicit at best a mid-level exception or a veteran minimum from players like that. Are they willing to take it? Do they want? Maybe not. If they want to play for a top-tier team, veteran minimum MLE at the best. They want to play for a middle team, kind of like barely making the playoffs, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Miami Heat. You could potentially pull yourself maybe a $10 million a year if the salaries are available. But these guys, they're used to winning or used to being in the conversation. They can't go to those places and expect pay me. So if he wants to go win, there's room for him, because I see that bench for Milwaukee, and as good as it is, they have Joe Ingles can barely move. The same thing goes with Goran Dragic. And you just have, and Pat Connaughton is essentially replaceable. As hard as he works, he's replaceable. So with Ingles, Connaughton, Dragic, Crowder, maybe Crowder didn't like how he was used in the rotation.
Well, Crowder came in mid-season.
Yeah.
So
he's a rental.
Yeah, like Crowder got bought out on the Nets deal. He was part of the KD deal and got bought out and then went over to the Bucks, if I'm remembering that correctly. Or he might have actually been dealt separately from Brooklyn. But regardless of it, like Crowder didn't have enough time, I think, to really find his role with this team.
And he may never get it.
He may never get it, but I think because he's there, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, he is under contract for next year as well.
Not sure.
Regardless, if he's under contract, like that's not the point of the conversation I really want to get to.
Right.
But I kind of think, like you bring up Draymond, I don't think Draymond actually fits well with this team. No. I think Russ is the type of guy who, like, okay, who is gonna replace Giannis when he comes on the bench as our go-to slasher?
Which is
not go-to scorer, go-to slasher.
Because they have the 3-point shooters to make it work. Exactly. I just got a little bit of goosebumps with your GM move right there. So, but
I'm not saying, look, I've pretty much said it consistently since 2016. But if Donald Trump can become president of the United States with no credible work experience, I too can become the GM of your favorite NBA team, and I promise to bring you a championship in a 4-year cycle.
Oh my gosh, listen to that politicking. We're the Bitcoin ballers, or are we going to be the Bitcoin policy ballers? I wonder.
I mean, look, I may or may not be running for governor of California soon, just depending on if Gavin Newsom becomes president. So I digress, though. We have one other thing we got to recap. We spent a little more time here than I wanted to, but you brought it up. We got to own this one because we were both way, way off on this as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers got one win. They also lost in 5. The New York Knickerbockers, they showed up. Huge credit has to go to them more than the Cavs losing. I don't want to diminish what the Knicks accomplished, but I want to point something out. When we had our intro to the playoff show and we said, how is the way that the Cavs are going to lose this series? One of the things that I was bringing up is their youthfulness. They are a young, inexperienced team, and that can be fine unless you go and play in 2 arenas specifically. The first, come here to Staples Center. If you're a young, wide-eyed, 19, 20-year-old kid, grew up in Texas, grew up in Florida, and you show up to play in NBA playoff basketball here in LA, and you see every celebrity you've ever dreamt of sitting courtside, you're out of the game. I'm telling you right now. Dwayne Wade brought it up as well during the bubble. He said that the Lakers losing home court advantage during the bubble was the most harmful thing for them, because playing in those lights, playing in front of those stars for young players who've never done it before, oof. And then, of course, the mecca of basketball, Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks were undefeated. They got the job done there, and the Cavs' youth was exposed. I said this to you before the show. I'm going to share this take as well. To me, I don't care that Donovan Mitchell has played these playoff series. He's played in competitive, hard-fought series. My guy, Donovan Mitchell, I'm looking you straight in the eye when I say this. You're the guy in Call of Duty in what's the game all the kids play now?
Call of Duty.
The cartoony one. That's like
Fortnite.
You're the guy in Fortnite who and then you damage the other guy, but you don't kill him. He's just like, I got a limp to the health. And then you know who comes and kills? honestly, Joel Embiid. I'll even say his name, Jason Tatum. These are the guys who are going to come and just actually get the kill.
Closers.
Thank you. Even Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's a killer. You got to give Giannis credit too. Giannis is a killer too. Didn't kill in the first round, but he is a proven killer.
Yeah.
I'm rambling a little bit. Let's hear your take on Knicks, Cavs.
You're right. You're just right. I was watching one of those games in MSG, and it's like, yeah, you weren't the only one who said that to me. And it's something playing in front of big names. It's something being on the floor with big names. I've been on the floor with James Harden before. My hands were sweating. I'll be honest. And that was 10 years ago. I'm not gonna fake. When he was guarding me, I wanted to get a 3-pointer up on him. It was the worst 3-pointer I took all game because he was
James
guarding.
Harden played defense against you of all people?
Barely. Right there, it's like I got to score against James Harden. I'm going to put up that 3-pointer. It's like it was rushed, and the reason why is because I wanted to do something in front of something. The 3-pointer was worth more than the 3-pointer. For the Cavs, that playoff game was worth more than a playoff game because Spike Lee was on the sideline. Probably what's his name? From Costanza. Seinfeld was probably on the sideline. You have these guys that are just like
Pete Davidson was there. All those players were worried about their girlfriends. Oh, he's going to talk to my girlfriend now.
Exactly. And it's like, and so while they had a valiant effort, it was never a complete blowout. First game was lost by 4. There were 2 games where they lost by 20. But when I look at it, it's like, one game when they lost by 20. The other games were all under 10 points. So they were always in the conversation, but it'll always look back and it's like they got blown out because they lost each and every game decisively. They're a young team. And when I saw them last year, they missed out in the play-ins. I'm like, they're going to do something. Watch this. And they did something. They had a winning record in a competitive Eastern Conference. And guess what? They lost to a more veteran, more established Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, New York Knicks team. Next year, what do you do with this team? Don't do nothing. Let them learn from that. Let them get their reps. I guarantee the more I was on the court with NBA players, the more comfortable I was with NBA players. So in the same way, the more times that they've said, oh, we lost in Madison Square Garden last year, our head wasn't cut off. We didn't lose our fingerprints. We didn't get our fingerprints burned off. They're professionals. They're good players. Garland did amazing in a couple of games. Mitchell was amazing in a couple of games. They didn't put it all together. They're going to be fine. But that was my hopeful kind of underground pick. You have to have a hot take as a podcaster. Otherwise, what's the point of podcasting? So they lost. The Knicks are going to be a very interesting play. Randall, one of my things, what does Randall need to do? He needs to be able to take those shots where he can create separation at the 3-point line, make those long range fadeaways, make the long range step backs. He was that and even more so. If he's gonna be hurt, it's gonna be a problem. I think that the Knicks have I'm happy to see Jalen Brunson being efficient and being the leader that he was assigned to be. A lot of the mainstream pundits say that he was the biggest free agent signing in recent history. Tend to agree.
And they got a lot of flack for that too, man. A lot of people were like, what are the Knicks do? This is a Dolan. He's throwing too much money. But Brunson has earned his paycheck.
And now Doncic is saying we missed him. So,
oh man,
not to say a Kyrie again. He's saying a Kyrie, whether Kyrie had enough time or not, Kyrie's likely gone. Doncic misses Brunson, and that's clear.
It's not even a question in my mind because in these type of 1 or even half season rentals, historically speaking, when like the best example of this is the best scenario is you actually win the championship so that in that re-signing meeting, your pitch is the What can we accomplish together? We've proven to you we can do this. Stay here and we'll get it done. This happens all the time in baseball.
Yep.
You get a pitcher he's gonna be a free agent this summer. The team he's on can't afford him anyways because
Right.
he's gonna go to the Yankees or he's gonna go to the Dodgers. So we might as well get some pieces for him. Another team is like, hey, we are one pitcher away from winning a World Series this year, and that could strengthen our pitch. CC Sabathia getting dealt to the Brewers from the Indian is the example that comes to my mind right now. Another example that comes to every NBA player's mind right now, Kawhi Leonard. He's got to spend the whole season, however, going there. Or another, he spent the whole season there and then became a free agent.
That's right.
You are not going to be able, you can't even say, well, that playoff series that we were so close, or the play-in, you cratered the team after he arrived. I wouldn't be surprised the Mavs don't even tender an offer to Kyrie, and they're just like, we got to move on. This was a mistake. We made a mistake. We wish you the best. We're gonna go rebuild how we see fit. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much.
I will give the comment, and I won't go a 5-second take. When the trade was made, I was looking at the trade pieces, and that was, don't put pressure on me, that they had the option, if it didn't work out, that they could move on cleanly. So they're going to have a lot of cap space where they wouldn't have had with Dinwiddie and Dorian Smith. So they're a free agent player this year. They could potentially go after D'Lo or whomever.
Oh, that's exactly we talked about it after all these trades went down. I think again, using an NBA example of a trade that's not really a trade. After the 2009 season, when the Lakers were trying to re-sign Trevor Ariza, they ended up going and signing Metta World Peace from the Houston Rockets. And where does Trevor Ariza go and sign? He goes and signs with the Houston Rockets. So on paper, if you're not paying attention, it could have just been a 1-for-1 trade.
That's right.
I think we're going to see something very similar. I think Kyrie comes to the Lakers. I think D'Lo is going to leave, even if they win the championship with D'Lo.
Right.
But it'll be done in free agency, but it could look offhand as though it was just a 1-for-1 trade.
I think D'Lo's going to the Mavs, but yeah.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Right. Now I want to ask you this question that I've already asked you, but now that we're on camera and all the pressure's on you, and you better not fuck this one up.
All right.
Look, we at one point were looking potentially at the Bucks Cavs series being hey, whoever wins this series, we think is going to win the East and be the Eastern Conference's sort of champion. Unfortunately, both of those teams ended up losing. I want to flip it down to the other side. Does the Celtics 76ers series become an almost de facto Eastern Conference finals where whoever wins this series will inevitably just win the East? Or do either the Knicks or the Heat have a real fighting chance of playing in the NBA Finals, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that both of those teams earned their wins. It wasn't like the Cavs weren't hurt at all, and the Bucks, everyone thought that even though the Bucks were limited by Giannis's injury, he played 3 games and they should have still competed. So the Heat earned that win. The Knicks earned that win. That means when they face off against each other, they are legitimate playoff teams. When you think of Jimmy Butler, now he's developing this mystique as this playoff demigod. I mean, he could beat any team, essentially, not by himself, but he can be a playoff pariah where he's just he is the ace. He's averaging 30 a game. I dare you to come stop me. His playoff level grows beyond everyone else's. It's clear. And I think that Brunson and Randall could prove to be too much for them. But I wouldn't say, oh yeah, the Sixers and the Celtics, that's just, they got it easy now. Tell that to the Bucks. The Bucks. You really think 30 points a game Giannis was an easy out? No. Yeah. The Bucks were playing good and the Heat played better. So that's scary. That should be scary for all of them. It's going to be fun.
Like the both the Heat and Knicks deserve respect put on their name. Full stop. That said, I still think the Celtics and 76ers are a different class of team. And while both of these teams have beaten and have proven like, hey, we can hang against any of these teams, I have a hard time believing that either the Celtics or 76ers are not going to be the Eastern Conference champion. But I look forward to I don't.
You remember you were really down on the Sixers before.
No, I am. I hate Doc Rivers. I think he's an awful coach.
Essentially, you're saying the Celtics are going to be the Eastern Conference champs.
I only want the Celtics in the finals if they're playing the Lakers because that would be awesome. Like Lakers Celtics finals are the best.
They are. Did they lose 2 games to the Hawks?
Yeah,
the Hawks are not good.
They're not. But the Celtics have a bad habit of playing down to their opponents. And frankly, so do the 76ers, even though the 76ers swept your Brooklyn Nets.
Watch out for Mikal Bridges, all Eastern Conference starter next year.
Dude, okay. We're saving that conversation for the offseason. It doesn't even warrant a response.
Nope. I win.
Let's start first. Heat, Knicks. Who you got in that series?
I've always been down on the Knicks. I don't know why. I don't see. I see the volume. Randall's a volume shooter. I've always been down on volume shooters. It irks me. Especially the guys that are 6'10" ball handlers. Like, chill out, bro. Like, play within an offense. So.
Tell me you're a guard without telling me you're a guard.
Yeah, it pisses me off. So I'm going to go ahead and say, and my buddy who will be a guest on our show one day, he loathes Jimmy Butler's game. I don't know why. It's ugly. It's ugly, but like for some reason, Jimmy Butler's three-pointer rating goes up in the playoffs along with his ball handling and his vision, and it's just in his. Like, why is he dunking on everyone? He turns into a superhero. I'm going to bet on that he's going to just continue to be a superhero. He didn't seem to slow down. He went from 56 to 42. I don't think he's going to all of a sudden say, I'm tired now. He's going to have a nice big break. He's going to pace himself. And then when his team needs him most, he's going to go 1v3 on a lot of these teams. And I think that the Knicks, in their lack of defensive urgency, it's going to be a little bit too much. He's not going to make the same mistakes as the young Cavs team. Kevin Love is going to be the three-point shooter he needs. I got the Heat in that game. I got the Heat in that series.
I can see that. I can definitely see like.
And didn't that 8C Knicks team go to the finals in '99?
They did. They lost to your David Robinson Spurs.
David Robinson's a top 10 player of all time.
It's a natural reaction whenever I hear that awful take. I just have to throw up a little bit.
Don't blame me. Most do. So they look at the stats, right?
I will also take the Heat simply because Jimmy Butler hates not being in the spotlight, and there is no bigger spotlight than Madison Square Garden. I think a lot of credit's got to go to the Knicks, who've won their first playoff series since Carmelo Anthony was on this team. So this is awesome for them.
Good for them.
But if I remember correctly, they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Miami Heat, led by LeBron James. And unfortunately, I don't think they're going to shake that monkey off their back. Jimmy Butler, also known as Michael Jordan's long-lost son, like has a habit of just showing up in these type of games. And people can knock his game. People can say, oh, like, yeah, his shot sucks or this or that. He's a bad teammate. Dude has literally gone from being Derrick Rose's number 2, where he was the number 3 option on offense. He was the lockdown defender. He has had a
number 2.
What's his name? Jakeem Noah.
Wow.
that first year when Butler was a rookie, Noah had more points.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
was very much like, honestly, you know who's had a similar career to Jimmy Butler is weirdly Kawhi Leonard. Came into a team,
Yeah.
your job, lock down the defense so the guys who need to score can rest. And over time, he continued to develop his offensive game. Once Derrick Rose left the Bulls because he couldn't play basketball for 4 years because his body was made of glass, Jimmy Butler became the dude.
Yeah.
Like he was, and look, he was not the level he is today. He is far and away a better player today, but he made pit stops in Minnesota and in Philadelphia. And each time he became more and more the dude. Yeah. And I genuinely believe, looking at this more from a psychological thing than analytics, numbers, or basketball, this is a guy who has never in his career until he left Chicago been thought of or looked at as possibly being the number 2. And it's really important to understand that, because the reason why he went and signed with Miami was because Pat Riley told him, you're that guy, and I'm going to build the team around you. And I think there's a little bit of this when there's not enough being talked about him, he plays down and he plays at this, I just got to plug the holes. My guy, you are the giant hole that everyone needs to plug around. You don't need to be, but he's so fucking awesome. And he has that level of just deep psychological humility where it's like, yo, Bam's going off right now. Like, yo, you do your thing. I'm a fucking lock down the post D guy so you can get a break. No, Jimmy Butler, don't do that. Go back to your lane, because if you're not in your lane, your team doesn't win. Plain and simple. So, but that said, Michael Jordan's long lost son will lead the Miami Heat to the Eastern Conference Finals and possibly the NBA Finals. But let's go to the other side. I'm going to make it short, sweet, and easy. Doc Rivers will not get it done against his former team. Jason Tatum and them boys will play down to the 76ers level. Sure, they may not have an answer for Joel Embiid, but the 76ers do not have an answer for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
I actually don't agree with that one. I think that the mismatch is Embiid. The Celtics are generally I see them as like the kind of the Warriors of the East. Very, very focused on the swing man, the 6'6", 6'8" kind of guy. But you have this big man that plays defense, that shoots threes, that handles the ball, and it's going to fall into like, do they have someone to match up with him? Robert Williams, okay, he's going to pull Robert Williams out, and they're not going to have anyone shot blocking against James Harden. So you take away, so now you have James Harden, generally unathletic, who now doesn't have to face a rim protector. Yeah.
I'm so here for the James Harden slander, but you can't actually believe that James Harden's unathletic.
I said unathletic, yeah.
No, I'm laughing. Like, yes, I get it. He doesn't move very quickly, but James Harden is a professional athlete.
Relatively speaking, he's not going to get to the rim and then finish over Robert Williams. So that's what I'm saying. So
fair. I would actually challenge you and say, I don't think he gets to the rim because I don't think he's quick enough to get around Marcus Smart.
Yeah. Assuming Marcus Smart is
didn't you shut down James? If you can shut down James Harden, Marcus Smart is going to.
Oh, I didn't shut down James Harden. No, he was guarding me for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like I he's probably saying, "Oh, he's the worst offensive player on the other team. I'm going to go guard him." So that was probably why he's guarding me. But no, I'm saying that again. Pick and rolls are very important for a guard like James Harden. So he's going to get the mismatch that he needs in order to get by the guy that he needs to. So while Marcus Smart is on him initially, he's going to get that mismatch for maybe what's his name? The sixth man of the year.
Brogdon.
Brogdon. Or he may get on to Jaylen Brown, and he has the offensive game to get by him and bang, bang. And then all of a sudden Embiid stretched out, Robert Williams not there. It's going to create problems for the Celtics that I don't see them meeting in terms of Al Horford there. Embiid's going to eat him up. Robert Williams, he's going to eat him up. In my opinion, I see the Sixers actually winning this series. I think this is the time where it's like, okay, all these veterans have finally had enough losing, enough issues. They're going to figure it out. You have alluded to Jalen Brunson's chemistry issues with Tatum.
Jalen Brown. You said Brunson.
I'm sorry. Jalen Brown issues with Tatum. I think that those are going to rear its ugly head in a more intense, more pressurized situation. Again, if I'm wrong, I wouldn't be surprised. But this is my hot take of the second round. I do see the Sixers edging them out and having a Sixers Heat matchup. That's me.
Fair.
Yes,
Fair.
sir.
Everyone has the right to be wrong about their opinions.
That's fine.
I want to hop on over now to the West. But before I do that, I just want to point something out really interesting. We're not getting into the game sixes yet. I want to talk first Nuggets Suns. However, starting lineup for the Warriors included Jordan Poole, and it did not include Draymond Green.
Yes. Smart.
So just something to think about. But before we think on that, Nuggets Suns, I'm gonna go first again. I'm gonna do everyone's favorite Suns fan from TikTok. Suns in 4. Suns in 4. Oh, you remember that guy?
I don't remember that.
Oh, dude, there was the playoff series back in 2021 where the Suns and Nuggets faced off each other, and the drunk guy like got in a fight and like got thrown out of the arena, and then Devin Booker like bought him tickets for the next game. I was like, nah, he's my guest to the next game. He's coming back.
I love near COVID interactions. It's just like people forget that you should just leave the bums alone. But people are so happy to just interact with people again that
no, this bum was wearing a jersey in the arena. Like he was a our age drunk idiot, not like a homeless person.
Still a bum.
Look, the Nuggets are the number 1 seed in the West. They handled the business against the Timberwolves. The Suns, on the other hand, yes, they beat the Clippers, but the Clippers had life in them. Probably more than they should have, in my opinion, personally. But look, if you take just those instances into account, it would look as though the Nuggets are the more comfortable team with where they are, who they are, and how they play, which would make sense given the fact that this core has been together now for a couple seasons in a row, whereas the Suns dropped a game or two that they probably wouldn't have if Kevin Durant had had a full off season to really acclimate with this system. Chris Paul to really get a sense of, hey, where do I need to get Kevin the ball so he can just, how do I need to play Booker off of each other? Realistically, do the Suns sweep the series? No, I think there's still some growing pains, and I think the Nuggets are a team that will capitalize and take advantage of that. This could go to 7, and it wouldn't surprise me, but I do think the Suns end up winning this series.
Yeah, you alluded to that the Suns had some issues, and it's like, oh, you noticed some things that they could have been more efficient with Kevin Durant and Chris Paul. Honestly, like when you see Devin Booker averaging 37, okay, he was Jimmy Butler. He literally has the same stats as Jimmy Butler did in that series. 37, 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Jimmy Butler had 37, 6 rebounds and 5 assists. Kevin Durant averaged 28 points a game, 28, 7 and 6. As great as Devin Booker was, Kevin Durant did the same, had LeBron James numbers. No, in my opinion, that what you noticed was the Suns can't play that defense that you would need to stop someone like Russell Westbrook. They couldn't stop someone like Kawhi Leonard when Kawhi Leonard was around, or Norman Powell, who had 40 points against him, which, by the way, I think I mentioned that if Norman Powell could show up, Norman and Russell Westbrook, you would have a potential substitute for Kawhi Leonard's absence, in which They essentially did. Or I'm sorry, for Paul George's absence. Powell showed up. Westbrook showed up. But the catch is they showed up against a team that really wasn't going to guard them. Torrey Craig can only do so much. In my opinion, I think Denver punishes that lack of defense from Phoenix with better talent, better chemistry. And I honestly see the Nuggets winning this series in 7 games.
Wow.
This was
Wow.
the reason. Yeah, I know. This was the reason that I was saying this could be bad for the Suns. Not necessarily first round bad, but maybe second round bad. Because as great as Booker and Durant are, they can only play so much defense to keep up those points. I tell you, I was trying to go put up jumpers against this team 2 weeks ago, and I was guarding their best player, and my legs were so tired I could not make a jump shot to save my life. Why? Because when you are exerting energy on defense, you lose your legs, you lose your efficiency. There's no one for Durant and Booker to hide against the Denver Nuggets. You got guys that are flying around, shooting threes, cutting, dunking, and then Jokic finding every shortcoming on the defense. If someone cuts and you're a half a step behind, Jokic is going to find you. There's no room for error. That's why the Nuggets win during the regular season. It's not to say that they won't have their 25, 30 points a game, but you got to stop someone.
Yeah, I even to strengthen your argument and weaken my own, like the depth of the Suns was exposed greatly in this because, look, if you look at those box scores, it's a sharp drop. When you have someone like Devin Booker averaging 38, when you have someone like KD who's giving you 20 to 30, when you have DeAndre Ayton dropping anywhere from the high teens to the 20s on a regular basis,
yeah,
and then you have no help from the bench, you're absolutely right that can get exposed, especially in a series that could go to 7 games.
Yes,
Like tired legs are real, man. Like you've played 82 games already. You've played another 6 now. Like you're approaching game number 90 this series. Like that's a lot of basketball. I get it. Your job is to be in shape as a professional athlete. I don't care how good a shape you are. At a certain point, you just get tired. Like you just do. Yeah, okay. David Goggins like digs in somewhere deep and is able to keep going and keep running. I'm telling you, people like Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, they have that same thing in them. They made it to this level. They are elite at a different stratosphere versus the rest of the NBA. But they're not going to play 48 minutes a game. And the key for the Nuggets to win this series will genuinely be to not bleed so badly against their starters so that their bench can attack and we be within striking distance. This series will come down to the bench play, and the Nuggets win as far as bench depth, talent, and skill is concerned by a wide margin. But Devin Booker and Kevin Durant can and will outscore Jamal Murray and Jokic.
Yes.
And the question is, if they go to the bench and they have a 20-point lead, okay.
Will that be enough? Probably.
It'll probably be enough. But if they go to the bench and it's like 12 points or like less, no, you know what? Honestly, I bet Aaron Gordon is going to make that up against these scrubs. Like, fine. All right. I won't call Cam Johnson a scrub, but like, honestly, like Cam Johnson's going to need to
slow down.
Wait, am I mixing?
Cam Johnson went to the net.
Who's the guy that stayed that I'm mixing Cam up?
Oh, Torrey Craig, but he's starting.
No.
Josh Okogie.
Oh.
Josh Okogie. And you know what? This is a perfect segue. Let me interject. Minutes played for the Phoenix Suns. Booker, 5 games. Everyone played 5 games. 43 minutes. 44 minutes for Durant. 35 minutes for Ayton. 39 minutes for Chris Paul. And then there's and then Torrey Craig played 25. But the guys that came in from the Nets deal or the signing halfway through, Terrence Ross played 4 minutes in the entire playoffs. TJ Warren played 6 minutes in the entire playoffs. These are the kind of guys that's like, So you're going to trade these two ace rising stars and Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, and you're going to get Kevin Durant, great for obviously one of the best players of all time. But then the rest of the guys, are they going to contribute? And the answer is, I guess, in these playoffs, no. This is scary.
I almost feel the player I was thinking of was Campaign.
Campaign, who was hurt. He came in late, but he played 3 minutes in the game that he came back in.
But again, getting some rest. You probably won't get a ton of minutes in game one. It wouldn't surprise me if you see someone like TJ Warren get more minutes because you need someone to at least be an offensive presence with the rest of the bench players, especially if the Nuggets are unloading on you in that moment.
It's scary to think that the Suns won 4-1. Did they win 4-1? They won 4-1. It's 5 games. They won 4-1, and they couldn't find time to play their bench players like Campaign. I mean, Campaign was hurt, but like TJ Warren or Ish Wainwright, who played 7 minutes total. It's like, I understand you wanted to win. I guess you're kind of rushing the win so you can get rest. But that is going to catch up to you. Those are miles logged, and you can't get those legs back. I'm scared that they're overusing their stars, and it's going to come back to bite them against the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I look. I think we're just at this point now just kind of saying the same things.
Yeah.
It's gonna come down to the bench play, and whether or not KD and Booker can give their team enough of a lead. But let's talk now the remaining series in the West. Game 6 happening right now between the Warriors and Kings. We're still in the first quarter. It's a 2-point margin there. Look, I want to first ask you on this. Were you surprised that the Warriors won an away game in the playoffs?
Yeah, I was. I did not expect. I did not expect the Kings to lose. Top offensive team to lose in the playoffs against one of the worst road teams during the regular season. But now we get back to the youth argument with the Cavs. You get back to the veteran argument with the Warriors being defending champions. Been there, done that. They're going to – Draymond Green had 22 points. It's first time since 2019. These are the kind of things that, oh, yeah, he's not going to repeat it again. You only need it to happen once to get that win so you can edge out the series. That was not a backbreaker, but definitely broke a shooting arm for the Kings because now they're going to play against a team that is the best record one of the best records at home. And even though they're up right now, 11-8, that's not going to be an easy win. That's not going to be an easy win to lock down. They're essentially, I don't expect them to pull this out. It's scary, but young team, that's what happens. Maybe guess what? They build upon. What do you do with this team? You don't do anything. Murray's a rookie. Sabonis is a rising star. Fox is a rising star. If you lose this game, it's okay. You're the best Kings team in 20 years. Don't see this as a failure, just like Giannis, but it's actually more true. Just like Giannis said, but it's actually more true.
Do you know what was 20 years ago?
Did I say 20 years?
You need to lower that number.
15 years. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Chris Webber's got some words for you, man. I
did. Quick math. I'm an engineer, not a finance guy. There you
go. I understand why, on the one hand, when a championship team loses in the first round, you can call that season a failure, like the Milwaukee Bucks. And then on the other hand, a team that won their division, that greatly outperformed expectations in the regular season, to then lose in the first round could.
To the defending champions.
Sure, but could be considered success. This was a good season. It's not considered a failure. The competitor in me kind of doesn't buy that argument, but the logical person in me understands that argument. It would allude, in my opinion, to the fact that this could be a one and done type of situation where the Kings are never going to win the Pacific Division again. They might make the play-in tournament next year. Like that's the signal this sends to me is like you outperformed and it's really good and we're happy for you, but like get the fuck out of the way so that the real teams and the real talent can be here, because let's be real, I've watched these Kings games. They're a fun team to watch, but dude, I would so much rather be watching Luka right now than any of these Kings players. And so objectively speaking, I actually think it's a larger failure because this was the Kings' opportunity on national TV. Because remember, they were the one playoff team. They had the fewest number of nationally televised games this season. In fact, towards the end of the year, the NBA had to change certain games to give the Kings more national recognition because they vastly outperformed their expectations.
Yes.
This was your opportunity to show the entire world the Sacramento Kings have arrived. Guys, this is embarrassing. And now, unless you win the division again next season, everyone will forever be like, oh yeah, it was a flash in the pan. They got it because all those other teams had so many injuries all year. LeBron was out, AD was out, Steph was out, Clay was out. Like the Phoenix Suns hadn't figured their stuff out. And then all of a sudden next year, those three teams far and away exceed what the Sacramento Kings do. Like, I actually think from the perspective of this was your opportunity to show what you can do. Show, hey, we are the best offense in the league. Watch us. Because remember, when the Warriors were the best offense in the league, they were one of the most fun teams in the league to watch. And they haven't done that. And I think it becomes a larger failure, not from the perspective of the players. No, it's actually a failure on the perspective of just the fan base. Like, dude, when it was called Arco Arena, that was the scariest place to have to play. Like, that was the scariest game. Like, I didn't care about going to San Antonio. I didn't care about going to Houston. Like, it was, oh my God, we got to go to Sacramento and win some games up there. Like, shit, this is going to be tough. And to your point, like, this is the best Kings team in a long time. The last time the Kings were really relevant was the 2003-2004 NBA season. They lost in the second round to the number one seed and the MVP of that season, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Kevin Garnett-led Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost in Game 7 and Chris Webber had a shot at the end of regulation, a three-pointer that he bricked. Didn't even hit the rim. He just hit the backboard. I still remember it to this day. That, and then literally Chris Webber gets traded the next season. The Kings completely dismantle, fall apart. And this is your return.
Where did he get traded to?
He got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh yeah. That's
right.
Yeah.
So I will take the other side of this and actually say, if we consider the Milwaukee Bucks season a failure, this is an abject failure for the Kings to not get out of the first round. All they needed to do, in my opinion, was get to round 2 for them to start to be like, hey, we got a playoff. We won the division. We won our first round series. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, we won our division, man. But really, we just won the division because every other best team in this division had crazy injuries. And like, we just outlasted them and we were just really healthy and got really lucky. That's not going to happen every year. I'm not hating on Sabonis, man. Like, dude, I'm a Gonzaga fan because my best friend went to Gonzaga. Like, I'm rooting for the Zags in the NBA. But I am disappointed at the fact that the Kings are not getting this done. And I said this before the playoffs started. Like, I wanted the Kings in the first round for the Lakers because I thought it was an easier matchup. And I'll say it again. I'm not as afraid of the Sacramento Kings as I am against Steph Curry, because Steph Curry can just go off for a night. And it's one of those things where it's like, Steph scored 50. Like you're not going to beat that. You're not going to beat Steph when he's shooting over 50% from three. So there are going to be those games in that series. And unfortunately, all he needs to do is have 2 of those games. And at that point, like the Warriors can win a couple more games or the Lakers can just lose a couple more games. Like it can happen very quickly and very easily. So as a Lakers fan, I would much rather see the Kings in the next round. As a basketball fan, I would much rather see the Kings in the next round because it helps them establish as a, hey, we're not a flash in the pan. We didn't get this by accident. So that's just my perspective on this.
I don't even want to go back in I think your perspective is right on because of that one point that there is when injuries happen, certain people who shouldn't be all-stars are all-stars. People who shouldn't be up for awards have awards. How many stud players didn't play the minimum amount of 58 games so that they could get all NBA? So now we're picking and choosing who's going to be all NBA. We still don't know yet, but it's going to be when you look back in history, it's going to be a bunch of randoms, not because they're not good players in and of themselves, but because LeBron wasn't there, Kevin Durant wasn't there. And so now next year you expect these teams to be back and healthy. The Kings aren't guaranteed to be that 3 spot. I would like to see them take the Cavs path, like they're 1 year behind the Cavs, but it's harder to do that when the Cavs were playing against all the healthy teams in the East. The Kings were playing against teams that were figuring themselves out, had to make trades, had players injured. Lakers always had AD or LeBron hurt all season long, and Westbrook limiting them. The Kings, I mean, a good season for the Kings next year would be a 6 seed, which would be 3 steps down from what they are now.
Exactly.
Wild.
Like this was your best shot at winning a playoff series, and you didn't get it done. Like you failed the job. Sorry.
They're probably going to be a play-in team because we're probably overestimating them. Someone will get hurt. Fox could go down for 10 games. All of a sudden they're a play-in team. Do they have the grit to win that play-in, or do they fall back like New Orleans did? If Zion comes back, are they even a playing team? Zion's going to whip them up, turn them into a cupcake, and eat them alive. It doesn't look good for the Kings. This was their shot. You're right.
So you bring up the Cavs, and I think that's an excellent comp to young teams that are trying to find where they fit in a very competitive landscape. Which fan base would you rather be? Would you rather be a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers? Would you rather be a fan of the Sacramento Kings?
The Cavs. I just
the right answer was actually you'd rather kill yourself than root for either of those teams. Sorry, go ahead.
The Cavs are going to be fine. Honestly, I keep telling people they're going to be a number 2 seed next year from a regular season perspective. That's not the guess because they're young teams have shown that they're going to do better during the season. We've been saying forever, the season doesn't matter. Now we're at the generation. We've been saying that for so many years. The players who were young saying that before they were in the NBA, now they're veterans in the NBA, and they're saying, oh, yeah, the season doesn't matter. And what happens? We've seen a 4 seed Lakers team with Kobe and Shaq, a 4 seed or even 5 seed, I forget, go deep in the playoffs. We've seen 4 seed. There you go. We've seen the Bulls at one point were a 3 seed. And
Houston Rockets as a defense worth noting. Houston Rockets when they repeated in 94, 95, they were the 6 seed.
So we grew up seeing this. Now maybe that wasn't the case in the 80s, but in the 90s and the 2000s, we kept getting these examples of the regular season is kind of a warm up to the real season. So now you have players not playing the full season. But guess what? You have guys who are rookies who are trying to earn contracts. They're going to go out and they're going to get their numbers. And that's why you've seen Denver being 3rd seed, 2 seed, 1 seed. That's why you see the Cavs improving from a 7 seed to a 4 seed. Next year, I think the trend will be they will be a 2 seed. You'll see the Celtics digress a little. You'll see the Bucks digress a little. Chill out, because guess what? They probably don't want to deal with another injury to Giannis. They've seen that, and it's like, okay, you say Giannis is an MVP. I say he plays 60 games and probably will make himself ineligible. So because why? Because they're thinking we don't care as much of Giannis being the MVP as much as we care about getting at least to the Eastern Conference Finals. So that just paves the way for teams like the Cavs, the youngest successful team, to actually win some games that veteran teams like, go ahead. So that's not to say they won't get upset by a 7 seed Miami Heat.
Look, I think you're absolutely right, especially if a team like the Lakers has deep playoff success. That formula will be replicated. Of you're not playing your stars in back-to-backs. No star will ever play a back-to-back game if the Lakers win the championship this year. I'm going to make that call.
They will play enough to get their accolades, because that's how they get paid. 65 games.
Right, but
some of them, not LeBron won't care, but maybe AD will care.
But the back-to-backs, like you're talking about potentially, like that would require them having 18 back-to-back games. So that means 36 games are just going to be back-to-back. For them to just miss back-to-back games to then therefore be ineligible, I don't think that there will be enough of those. So I do think that the load management thing will pick up. But again, only if a team like the Lakers really used it ends up winning. I think if a team like the Nuggets or the Celtics or even the Suns, if those teams end up winning.
Kevin Durant played 54 games.
But he was hurt.
Yeah.
He was like proper hurt.
Right.
Versus like we didn't play AD in the second night of a back-to-back against the Houston Rockets. Right. And then we potentially had to be forced into the play-in tournament as a result of that loss. So I think what the question I'm trying to get to, and I'm taking too long to get to it, so I'm going to be more direct. Giannis got hurt. And there's a case to be made that actually not playing the full 82 games, not getting those reps in, and then jolting and shocking your body into, you're not just playing Drew League, you're not just playing NBA regular season, you're playing NBA playoff basketball against a team with their back against the wall. When you play pickup and there's that one guy that's just like taking it way too hard, thinking like he's about to get an NBA contract. And then you have like the guys like me who are like, hey, like I'll play, but I'm not going to try to like tear my Achilles going and doing some stupid shit.
Oh, no.
When those type of players collide, that's when injuries happen. Right. But if you have two players who are both going hard, or you have two players who are both kind of like, this is Sunday rec league, like I'll put my hand up, but I'm not going to body you. Those are the two instances where you don't see injuries.
Right.
What I think we're starting to see with load management, we're starting to see that disproportion. We're starting to see certain players have to go so hard all the time just to keep their place in the league. And then you got the MVPs, the superstars,
right,
who all they care about is playing playoff basketball. So long as their team is within the top 5, they're comfortable, they're fine. They're not gonna, I'm not gonna put my foot down on the gas. And then you get Giannis Antetokounmpo injured in the first game of the first round of the playoffs. I am not saying it's because of load management, but I'm saying load management did not help Giannis become physically prepared enough for game 1 of that series.
He landed on his back.
That. No, totally. Like it was a freak accident. In the same way that Kyrie's injury a couple years ago.
If he pulled his hamstring, I understand. But he it's the Giannis and the Jaws and the guys, the Russell Westbrooks, they throw their body, and these are the guys that play that way, whether they rested a week or are playing back to back. And that kind of stuff, it's like, dude is going to take a charge, and all of a sudden you're flying through, you're doing a Ryu hurricane kick through the air. You get what you get on that. Sometimes that means you need to pull up. Devin Booker, I don't see Devin Booker getting, falling like that. People need to adjust their games in order to.
Devin Booker's a shooter, not a slasher.
He can drive and he can pull and he can hit a floater with the best of them. De'Aaron Fox, as fast as he is, what does he do? He pulls up at an 8 feet left-hand floater. And these are the kind of things where it's like he's not going to get hurt because he's not just he's not rolling the dice with his body every play. It's if you're in the finals, fine, but there's more games to be played, and Giannis playing like that, you're going to be a risk injury. I mean, I'm sorry, you're going to be an injury risk. And Ja Morant had the same problem, and he got hurt. These players have to learn that you just can't throw your body and just get bailed out. And even if you get bailed out, you're not going to get bailed out by gravity.
I don't disagree with that. However, and maybe this is just me, and maybe I'm misremembering because I haven't played a competitive sport now in over 6 months, and I'm starting to glamorize it a little bit. However, I do think there's something to be said about when you're in that flow state, when you find that rhythm, dude, I don't know what it is, but like I can use gravity. I know how my body is going to react in situations. I know, oh shit, move your hand back for just a half second without thinking that thought. I just do it to sort of make my body move how I need to. And I genuinely believe, and this is the hill I will die on. And then I would like to
move on.
I'll let you rebuttal and then we will move on. I do believe though, that those little reps here and there are the difference genuinely between landing right and wrong. And it as crazy as that sounds, I believe wholeheartedly, like Kyrie Irving was the one pointing it like, oh, like remember when the Bucks hurt me in that freak injury and I rolled my ankle and then all of a sudden like they win the championship that year. Like if that didn't happen, the Nets probably win the championship that year. He's not wrong. But you know what else he did that season that was wrong? Load management. And I firmly believe, gravity or no gravity, I don't give a shit. You have a deeper sense of understanding of your body, of the flow of the game, and subconsciously you end up, oh, let me move my foot back because there might be a player's foot right here that I might trip over. Or there might be something I will roll my ankle on. Yeah, I'm going to throw my body wherever, but I also know my body because I've been doing it so many times. So that's my belief from my experience playing sports. I do believe that even in those moments where I'm just diving headfirst for a header, like I know, hey, that defender's coming up and he uses his knees. If I'm going to go in there, I've got to turn just a little bit to have my shoulder block his kick so I don't get a concussion. But I'm not thinking that. I'm doing that.
Yeah, involuntary. I play enough basketball to know that I have avoided a lot of acute injuries based on that. But, the injuries I'm dealing with are more chronic from age and just like overuse, but those instances, yes, I can say when I fall, if I'm low bridged, I tend to fall generally like a cat because, I'm playing every week and I know, or sometimes twice a week. So I won't discount you on that. That's a great argument. I would say, how often are those guys playing? Even though they're load managing, are they still playing intensely, in the off season? Are they still playing enough reps? Like, is Kawhi Leonard playing enough that if I can land on my feet, he can land on his feet? I would say yes. So even though you're missing 30, 20 games in the NBA, are you making that up in sort of controlled chaos in the practice and pickup games in summer leagues? That's a good point, but we don't have to stay on it too long.
Yeah. It's just something to chew on and think about. Like, they're getting all these reps. I just think that there's something different about reps that are
at the top highest.
Game reps are different than practice reps.
Right.
So we good to move on though? Do you want to bring up anything else on this stuff?
No.
Alrighty. So I think we've both established that. I think we both think actually the Warriors are going to end up getting this done, unless I misunderstood your take on that.
Yeah, it's just law. I'm just going by averages. They're a great home team. Sacramento's shown wavering doesn't. I mean, unless they do something great, we're gonna watch it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
expect Warriors to win.
I too expect Warriors will get it done tonight in game 7 or in game
Yeah.
6. However, like I'll be rooting for the Kings and I hope the Kings
Yeah.
somehow pull something out.
Yeah.
Let's flip on over though to my Lakers. I started the show saying this as we wind down this show with this being our final segment. I'm a again remind you all, and I'm gonna say it now. If the Lakers do not win tonight, they will not win game 7. And it pains me to say that, but I do not have faith that these guys are going to be able to travel for game 7 and get it done in Memphis, a city that is hungry, that has watched this young team really rise into their own, and a team, quite frankly, that we've been chirping with so much. You do not want, guys, we were up 3-1. You do not want to give them a lifeline here. Get it done tonight. And I mean, like, stomp on their throats.
These, I think that the Lakers have the skill advantage, the home court advantage. There's no reason why they should lose this game. We're going to have to see LeBron be that at least. And I heard. I'm not going to take the words from him, from someone else. He's going to have to at least be the number 2. He can't come out 5 for 17. If he's at least the number 2 best player on the Lakers, we're going to see a Laker win. It's their game to lose. Anthony Davis doesn't need to be the best player. He just needs to be, someone needs to be up there. LeBron needs to be at least number 2. Whether it's Austin Reeves, if D'Angelo could show that he can be the best player on the floor, that'd be nice. I doubt it. But if LeBron's the 3rd best, 4th best, it's scary.
Which it is, like, that's the thing I think that gets under discussed, because LeBron has had these games in this playoff, both in the play-in game as well as some of the games in this first round, where he has struggled and his age is starting to show a little bit. However, because the rest of this Lakers team around him is so excellent, because AD just puts the team on his back. After LeBron goes 20 and 20, what does AD do? AD goes 30-20. D'Lo consistently leading in points. Austin Reeves, the dirty, nasty, awesome. Like, dude just gets it done. LeBron James is the 3rd best the 3rd best player on this team, and he's still LeBron motherfucking James. This is the best team in the NBA right now. Better than the Phoenix Suns when they play at that level. That's their issue, though. They play at that level for about 2 minutes a night. For 2 minutes a night, they are the best team in the NBA. Full stop.
Yeah.
For 46 other minutes, they range from being up there to all the way down to reminding everyone that, hey, we were a play-in team. Nothing was more heartbreaking the other night than watching them have the ball down 74-75, genuinely thinking in my head, oh my God, we're about to take the lead in the 3rd. Let's go. And then just watch the utter collapse of that team. And they went from down 1 to down 20 within 5 basketball minutes. I think there was a little bit of arrogance and cockiness, quite frankly. And I hope that the way they lost was something that ignited a fire under them. Shout out our boy Kay Alvarez putting his life savings on the Lakers. Like, I'm not even that confident in them. Full stop. Like,
He's lying. He's lying as well.
No,
he ain't betting like that.
I know. Look, man, I sure as shit hope no one we know is ever going to bet their life savings on anything other than Bitcoin going to the moon. But
that was your first Bitcoin reference in our entire show.
Hey, man, I said we're the Bitcoin ballers. I got a Bitcoin B back here.
Congratulations. I will say this: the Memphis Grizzlies, they're very good at shooting right now, and it's scary. The Lakers, as good of the defenders as they are, they need to get out on Luke Kennard and Desmond Bain a little better. Like Desmond Bain averaging 25 in 5 games. That's not good because Ja is going to get his. Ja's not even hitting 3-pointers and he's getting his. So Lakers, like we talk about, oh, what do we need? Stu's keys to the game. If you watch Laker local games, stop the 3-pointers. It's like Vanderbilt has to have a better impact. If Vanderbilt can't stay in front of Ja, guard Desmond, but he has to shut down someone. But you can't have their two best players playing at the level that they need to. That's a yellow flag. The Lakers are going to have to turn into the defensive team that we know them to be, because they're not going to be able, if they can shoot 3-pointers at that pace. But if you allow Kennard to be Kennard and Bain to be Bain, you're in trouble because no one's stopping Ja. This is almost like that Kobe thing. We're going to let Kobe be Kobe. You don't want to have that situation where, this role players are getting their stuff. By the way, how do you have access to the chat and I can't get that?
Because you didn't tap over. Right hand side of your screen. Make sure you press chat.
Oh, we're gonna have to fix that next week. Okay, that's fine.
All right. I digress. I don't want to deal with technical issues because this is the first episode in months where you haven't had to hop off because your internet sucks ass.
It's you being a host in the PV Hills where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to handle the entire
other
network.
Episodes a night and never have this
Centralization is bad. Okay,
I literally have this issue with no one else. You are the issue.
I don't.
Issue only comes when you are on the show. Look, I'm with you that Ja's gonna eat. He's that caliber of player. It's do not let the rest of these guys cook. Do not let the rest of these guys get hot. I was just talking to one of my boys, and we were talking about how it would be really, really nice if Dylan Brooks, if something just happens the very early in the game, like kind of like in Game 5 when AD just swats Dylan Brooks, sends his shit back to the stands, and both LeBron and AD are just so happen to be right there, and Dylan Brooks is like, yep, nope, I'm gonna walk away. Send a message in the first quarter. Don't just start scoring, but send a message. Do it the right way. I'm not talking. Don't do something stupid like get a flagrant foul.
Right,
don't do something where it's like you're going to cost the team points or give them the opportunity to get an early lead. No, you can keep pace with them. You don't need to jump out to a 10-0 lead, but you need to make their 10 points the hardest 10 points they've ever scored in the NBA. Not just in this season, not just in the playoffs, in their entire career. I want the first 10 points for the Memphis Grizzlies to be so difficult for them to score that they just, we got to do it at least 10 more times to win.
They had a phase like that in Game 1 or 2, and that was a very nice
Game 1.
It was Game 1. It was a very nice. Oh, the Lakers are really here to play. I want to put a scenario in front of you real quick. Would you rather have Dylan Brooks get blocked in like this emotional kind of standoff with like how you described? Would you rather have that and it was like this really emotional win early in the game, or would you rather have a major emotional failure on the Memphis Grizzlies where it's like there's an early flagrant or early technical foul? So something that's where the Lakers are actively involved, or something in an active positive or an active negative from Memphis. What would you rather have?
I would rather have the Lakers positive, and I will caveat it by saying that what I'm really looking for is something negative from the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies are a young team. They're a very emotional team. And unfortunately for them, they get exposed when they get too emotional. I do think, though, in a situation like, let's just use the block as the example, a situation like that for them to get demoralized early, hard, that is the equivalent of a mental mistake, like a technical foul. I think for them, they could actually more easily recover from just a simple technical, like they talk back to the ref or they slam the ball. Quick timeout. Guys, this is win or go home. You may have never been here before, but let me explain to you how this works. You don't get your shit together right now. We don't play basketball anymore for a couple more months. That is a genuine scenario that I think that Memphis will be able to handle.
Yeah.
What they can't handle is if 3 possessions in a row, they try to go to the paint and AD or LeBron just absolutely stuffs them, or they airball a shot early and all of Staples Center, including Denzel Washington, is going airball.
Right.
Jack Nicholson is in there like, man, these young guys don't know what the hell they're doing.
Jack hasn't been to a game since 2021.
He's like really sick right now, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's on his last legs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like, I'm more trying to just like to have all of that. That would be hard.
That is the Square Garden, right? It's basically you're hoping for the Memphis to have the MSG effect that the Cavs had in Game 3, and that could be, that could send the Lakers on to the next round.
Yeah, I just think that it needs to come from the Lakers beating them rather than the Grizzlies beating themselves up, because the Grizzlies are good at fixing mistakes mid-game. That I will give them credit. They are an excellent team out of timeouts, out of quarters. They are really good at doing that. The Lakers, if they don't find that rhythm, if they don't become that lockdown defensive team that they're capable of being, they will lose this game. That is the recipe here. Make this the most difficult first 10 points for the Grizzlies to score in their entire career. You win the game. After that, they will be so demoralized. Their threes can drop, fine, but they're going to be so stuck on, I can't drive to the basket right now.
Yeah.
All I can do is shoot threes. Sure, fine. You know what? We almost lost the playing game because Minnesota, every single player somehow became an expert three-point shooter. They shot over 50% from three-point land until the fourth quarter. And I'd expect something similar. Fine. Memphis can shoot 50% from three-point land for the first 3 quarters. They can have the lead for the first 3 quarters. But if you're telling me that they can't go down low, they can't drive, they'll lose this game in the fourth.
Right. Can't wait. It's going to be great.
I think we are at that time.
Yeah.
Just a quick little update. The Kings have a 3-point lead on the Warriors. We're not even at the halfway point of the second, though. That's looking like it's going to be an excellent game 6. I'm going to go walk my dog so I can make sure I can watch the second half. Ulric, any final thoughts or words before we wrap this episode up?
It would be lovely to see the Kings win. If they can stick around until the third quarter, it still won't be enough because, like you said, these veterans teams, there's going to be particulars that change the fourth quarter around. So we're going to have to see the Kings develop a little bit of a cushion to have that guarantee. They just nailed a 3, so they're up by 6. But if they can somehow, let's just say they're down by 3 and win that fourth quarter, that will be that legitimization that you were looking for. Was like, not only did they make it to the second round, they beat the defending champions, and this season would essentially be a success. But now I'm miscounting. This is only game 6, and they are down 3-2, so they would have to go back to Sacramento. But a decisive win in San Francisco would put them in a situation where it's like they would have the confidence to win game 7. And I think that would happen. Yeah.
I think we're both rooting for the Kings. Expectations are it's going to be Lakers Warriors. Yeah. I would love to see Lakers Kings. Dude, if the Lakers don't get this done, though, we're talking next week about a Grizzlies whoever matchup. I'm going to be salty, pissed, and honestly, I'm going to be wearing sunglasses for that whole episode. But that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. This has been another excellent episode of the Bitcoin Ballers podcast. If you are not subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. Leave us a comment. Tell us how stupid our takes are, because as we discussed at length, we got it wrong in the first round. We're probably going to get it wrong in the second, and sure as shit, we'll get it wrong again in the future. But until that day comes,